My name is Teresa Lockwood. I reside in Vineland, New Jersey. I'm going to be recording a really sad um, cult abuse in regards to putting false guilt trips on who was deemed as not married, okay, and making the woman feel dirty and filthy, okay, because they didn't have a marriage certificate. Okay, so I just want you to know that the marriage certificate is not biblical, by the way. The marriage certificate did not exist until medieval era times, okay? So the thing is that, like, it's really sad because he actually is going to sit there and continuously promote this evil false doctrine that is, well, like I said, not biblical. And it doesn't matter. Just because it's not in the Bible doesn't mean it's like not of God. Okay. But I'm going to tell you about the marriage certificate, by the way. Okay. First of all, I'm going to say this first. I won't sit there and say Bible times. It's kind of weird. I have a different perspective of it. I don't really like to use that. Biblical times or whatever. Biblical times. The thing is that they didn't have a priest or somebody outside a family do a marriage ceremony. Okay, it was basically that of approval by the father of the bride, if you will. Not everybody, has like a living biological father, or they're not around, etc. Which is all right. I'm gonna just go on. So this is the thing. Yeah. So I heard a false pastor a number of years ago, Vineland Calvary Chapel, by the way, who basically said, "Oh well, it's not marriage until you get married by the." I guess pastor, okay, and they were implying that to, I guess, people like him or whatever. Then it's not marriage. So the thing is, I was talking about how basically these churches, by the way, are the ones that actually cause abandoned children. They were the cause of abortions. They were the cause of separations, of children not being taken care of and things like that or whatever, because of their false claims and their false doctrines of marriage. And the thing is, that is the whole point. And that's what it is designed to do, okay? First of all, the marriage certificate was created by these Antichrist false churches, by the way, particularly the Catholic Church. And they claimed if you did not accept this Catholic Church, okay, and they wound up doing these marriages, and if you did not accept their church and they did not approve your marriage, you did not get a marriage certificate, okay, and you were not considered married, and if you were together without the approval of their marriage certificate and to be married by them, they would call you an adulterer, and you were basically persecuted and maybe even killed, okay? Because of these false doctrines, they have made like women's homes or whatever and shamed women if they were pregnant without a marriage certificate, killing babies, by the way, killing babies, taking babies from mothers and things like this or whatever. And they still promote a shame and convince people they're living in sin if you are pregnant and do not have a marriage certificate. Okay, this is an evil abomination against God. Okay, first of all, to go and convince somebody that they're dirty and filthy for willingly two people coming together, okay, and having a child, okay, and to shame that is an abomination against God. Okay, so the thing is that in the laws, okay, in Deuteronomy, which I just want you to know, there's forged false Bibles, okay, that basically change the word and switch it and change it to rape and convince people to marry their rapist. Okay, this is a perversion and unjust oppression I endured here in Vineland, and there's a lot of people I've gotten in like just horrible fights over or whatever, because these people. A lot of people will sit there and claim that they believe in it because it's written in the Bible, okay, and they believe that you should marry your rapist. it's an evil thing. No, that's not what the Bible says. Okay? In the under the law in the passage in Deuteronomy, I believe, it basically speaks of, and it says, if one basically rapes a woman who is betrothed, that they are to be given the death penalty. Okay, and the woman, the rape victim, is not to bear any guilt. So under that, it basically gives emphasis on different situations, but it still applies. It still applies in that if you are raped or whatever, that they are be given the death penalty. Okay, this is all through the Bible, and every time that there was a situation where a rape occurs or whatever, that they killed them. Okay, so the thing is, yeah, I'm trying. I don't want to go into the whole story. You can look it up. Rape of Benjamin from the Benjamin tribe when they became evil and rebelled against God. The family in David, where I'm not focused on it. Tomorrow, I think, they were raped or whatever. Well, the thing is like they were killed. Okay, the thing is, death penalty is to be basically that in regards to a woman who is raped. So anyway, under this law, I should actually looked it up before I came on here because I was thinking about this. So under that, it basically where they try to use the NIV as one of them, where it is a perverted, evil, false, forged Bible, who basically claims if you don't marry your rapist. This is not true. This is not what it says. This reflection is actually reflected more or less an eloping, okay, and it's basically talking about seizing the daughter from the father, and that they would have to, and then because of that is, I guess, a compensation that they would have to actually pay of the father because of not getting his approval or permission. But the thing is, the father is supposed to be protective over the daughter, and they are to ask permission from the father to marry their daughter. Okay, so and to be one with them. The thing is, it's just that when it basically talks about if they eloped, like if they didn't get permission from the father, okay, so they eloped or whatever, and this is willingly coming together, okay, and they take it for the father without permission. They were not to be separated. Okay, that is approved by God. That's what the law of God is, and that's what's in the Bible. And they are like no man, nobody is to separate them. That they are allowed to be together. Okay, so the thing is, this is what the Bible law, teaches. Okay, so excuse me, I got like I don't know what it is. I don't know, but anyway, And so the thing is just that the true ministers of God who speak by the Spirit of God is going to teach marriage correctly. Okay, I'm not going to sit there and this guy follows so much false doctrines. It's unbelievable. He is a deceiver himself. It's really sad. I'm just wondering how much he basically deceives his own wife. Okay, or I mean, just keeps her ignorant about the things of God. He follows and echoes a lot of people's deceptions, by the way, which I'm going to record other situations regarding that. The thing is, just like, like he's deceived. The thing is, he deceives. Okay, but regardless, no matter what state of mind somebody's in, and if they come together willingly and they are not to be separated. But the thing is, it's just like this is not like in regard. Okay, let's put it this way. I'll say this: those who give their virginity up to each other, okay, that is a person that you're supposed to remain with forever, okay? Once they break the seal of the woman, okay? So the thing is it is very traumatic. There is evident that when people separate even get this divorced and things like that or whatever, there is a severe trauma that many people experience, okay, when they do separate. Marriage is basically in the conscience, okay? It's in the conscience. I mean, there's people who would just like go on, not even fazed by it or whatever and things like that. You know, I question their conscience with that or whatever, and what they give themselves. But the thing is, though, when you give to yourself to each other first, to each other willingly, um, um, you're to remain together. You become one in flesh, okay? You are to become one in spirit, okay? And in soul, and all these things. Sometimes it doesn't always happen like that, okay? Sometimes it's just physical for some. So the thing is, it's just that I'm actually gonna go on because I don't want to make this too long, okay? But this is the thing. I'm actually going to do a more part on marriage because this guy is, he's willfully abusive. Okay, he is a abusive cult leader. Okay, their church has persecuted me, by the way, still is persecuting me. Okay, slandering me and everything else like that or whatever. But this is the thing, while they sit there and call me a religious demon and all these other things or whatever because I'm speaking them knowledge, you know, and they when I speak against, bring knowledge against their evil, false, abusive, oppressive doctrines, false doctrines, they will sit there and falsely accuse me of not having mercy. I'm sorry, your sin is not merciful. Your sin causes oppression. And when I basically quoted that against that of against oppression, they quoted scripture or whatever and claim that they are speaking against oppression when they are the oppressors. Okay, so they don't understand how merciful the knowledge of God is and the laws of God. They have condemned the laws of God. They have made up lies in the past, and then they were corrected, and they still manipulate it and alter it or whatever. But and made up all kinds of things, and they sit there and going around claiming, oh, they're biblical. They claim the marriage certificate is biblical. No, it is not. The divorce certificate is biblical. It's a certificate of divorce. Okay, it's just documented why they separated. Okay, but the thing is, the marriage certificate is not in the Bible, okay? And the thing is, and the thing is, it's not like it's because of time or this, that, or anything or whatever. I have seen and watched throughout humanity how this was used to control humanity. They were sex slave certificates to the Catholic Church, okay? And you were persecuted and slandered as an adulterer if you did not have seek the approval of these churches. Okay, first of all, no marriage needs to seek any of your church's approval. Okay, we are not to marry other people or whatever. That's just ridiculous. Okay, and I don't believe that marriage should be unless go to others because circumstances. People may not have like parents that are living or other circumstances or whatever the case may be. So I'm going to go on. I'm going to actually record this, but no matter what, even if, okay, I'm against them. I believe that they are evil. But the thing is to anyone to sit there, I'm going to say this real quick before I record it and go to it, because this is the thing. So he basically said that he basically accused his wife of possibly having this affair with this so-called pastor. I just want you to know this guy persecuted me with false pastor Ralph Snook, even got in my face and told me that Jesus doesn't need anybody to defend him for me correcting their false doctrine and teaching the true gospel, by the way. So he is an anti-theist atheist, and they actually just they follow these number of rules or whatever. And the thing is, it's just they're basically against the laws of God. They have actually literally condemned the laws of God and said Jesus condemned the law to the cross when he died on the cross, and all these false doctrines. It was unbelievable. So, and claim because they can't keep the commandments or whatever, so they claimed that Jesus died on the cross and that's why they're saved and forgiven and things like that. No, Jesus taught to keep the 10 Commandments. So they keep lying about it, by the way, and then basically claiming that Jesus, the rich young ruler he kept the commandments or whatever, but he just didn't have Jesus and try to sit there and pit Jesus against like the commandments or whatever. This is not true. They pervert our scripture, and even that very same message, Jesus said those who basically are righteous and keep the commandments are the ones who are of him. The rich, the so-called rich ruler, if you will, that not so-called, but what is claimed to be under the message called. Identified as the rich young ruler, if you will, story. They basically said those who do not keep commandments because they are not of God. Okay, so this is the thing. What they don't understand in the commandments, yes, mercy is in the commandments. This has nothing to do with willful sinning or justifying evil and things like that or whatever. So I'm going to record this guy because this guy, he's making up false claims, by the way, and falsely claiming he is of the Holy Spirit. I'm going to do another video. He is deceived into sit there and going around speaking against himself and claiming that Jesus contaminated people and that they are going around and contaminating, Vineland. Well, yes, they're contaminating, okay? But he is deceived into saying that. I don't think he knows what he's saying, by the way. So he is an echoer. This is the problem. He's an echoer, okay? He is undiscerning. When I spoke against them being undiscerning, they try to write on their page how they're discerning or whatever. No, they are not. So the thing is, it's just that somebody deceived him into basically speaking against himself and basically falsely made them one with Jesus when they're not promoting Jesus whatsoever. They are of the Antichrist. So these are the ones who basically speak the gibberish speech. So apparently he deceives his wife or whatever. So I just want to let me just go back to this one I said before because I got to cut some of that off and because I got to make this shorter. But the thing is, he basically, when he falsely said that he falsely accused, he accused his wife of having an affair with his pastor. Just want you to know, even though they may not have had sexual relations or whatever, the reality is he stepped in and became this woman's husband to play dictator over her, is what he did, by the way. And yes, it is like them playing the other husband. Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna record this. So this is actually really, really sad and disturbing. And I was really moved. I was actually really hurt. That it was just like this guy like attacked like a woman. Like he had Ralph Snook is a dirty, filthy man. Okay, he's a pervert. He perverts scripture. Okay, and he's evil. He's very evil. So I'm gonna go on. I'm gonna record this.
The amazing thing is that your mother, Izana, she did have a little bit of experience in the Pentecostal church, and so the Holy Spirit was really dealing with her because we were living together, and obviously living like a married couple. And doing what married couples do, and she was starting to feel unclean and dirty, and so she was really trying to encourage me. Listen, Tony, we need to get our lives together. We need to, do things right, and honor God. But I wasn't with that because I didn't understand, So I was kind of putting it off. Finally, she pushed me enough that I went to go visit Pastor Ralph. And I had a script already in my mind how I was gonna deal with him. Because he wasn't going to. Remember, this is the guy that asked me if I was married, so I had to go in there with low, just my mind prepared, And we go into his office, and he's such a wise.
No, he is not, and he's a very ignorant man. He speaks a lot of blasphemous lies. He's one of those ones who speak the gibberish speech, which I just want you to know that does expose him as a liar, or an echoer, if you will. But these people do willfully lie. So I'm going to go on.
And he just began to talk to us and got some history. And, why aren't we married? And I'm like, listen, she deserves the best wedding in the world. And I gotta save some money. And so he goes, well, when are you planning on getting married? And it was like 7 or 8 years later because I really didn't want to get married. I wanted to do my own thing. At the time, I said 7 or 8 years. Now, they
would heal a lot of families if they taught marriage properly and shame those who basically separate somebody who gets pregnant instead of shaming the woman and having a child with a man when they chose to be together. They should shame the man that leaves. Okay? Not shame the one who doesn't have a marriage certificate. They are sinning against marriages. They are harassing you. If they are calling you a adulterer and a sinner and unclean and all these other things and filthy and dirty or whatever because you don't have a marriage certificate, they're the ones sinning and basically going against the laws of God, by the way. And they're the ones who are filthy and dirty, and they sit there and they are contaminating society. And they're causing a lot of confusion.
This is back in 1993. Okay, so it's going to be like year 2000 or something before we get married. And so your mom is on it the whole time. She's just quiet. She's just very quiet. And so he's just really talking to me, and he goes, "Okay, that's fine. Listen, if that's what you want to do, I understand." He goes, "Well, how about if we just for the sake of doing things right before the Lord, why don't we just do something real small right here in my office, and we can take care of the sin issue?" See, I didn't understand that living together out of wedlock was a sin, and it was a grave sin. And because I didn't understand that, I really didn't understand where he was coming from. But he said, "Listen, you've got to get saved, and if you're serious about salvation, and if you're serious about getting married, come to our service on Sunday, and I will give an altar call, and you can give your heart to the Lord." And so, I've often wondered, why didn't he lead us to the Lord right there in his office? But I think he was really...
This is the thing. So he questioned a lot of things. He questioned a lot of things. And the thing is, it's just like, he might have been right sometimes. Okay? And it sounds like... This is the thing. Because... a lot of his thoughts in this is actually right. No, this false pastor is not right. It's traditions of men that void out the laws of God. And it does bring imbalance to society. Okay? When you sit there and they will shame, the men of these churches, they will sit there and shame somebody for not having a marriage certificate if they're pregnant. As they're like this filthy, unclean thing. That's an abomination against God. The woman who's pregnant with the child is not an abomination against God. Unless she's with, a whole bunch of men or whatever, don't know who the father of the child is, etc. But the thing is, it's just that they are the ones that are basically in rebellion against God. Like, they're already married. Once two willingly giving yourself to each other, you're married. There's been in the media and everything else like that, how these people were shamed or whatever. Or I remember not too long ago, maybe a few years ago, where there was a teacher, in the Catholic Church, unfortunately, who was pregnant with a child and they didn't have a marriage certificate. Or there was another one who basically was maybe, 16, 17, 18 or whatever, who was kicked out or whatever because, they're pregnant with a child. They should have been commended and sit there and say, well, you are the father. You are the mother of this child. That's a marriage. No, they shame the woman and then they are bringing division between the marriage by bringing confusion. That's what they're doing.
Really testing me, particularly if I really wanted this.
I was separated from my first love by a perverted cult, by the way. A foster family who are a lot more freaking child molesters. Who claim to be Christian. Kidnapped my children because, so they protected the child molester, by the way. The child molesters. 3 of them. They protected child molesters. Oh, don't say anything. You'll shame the family. Right? But yet attacked me and persecuted me. Abused me, kidnapped my children because they said, "Oh, well, you're not allowed to have children." Yeah, they literally did this. A cult. Because you don't have a marriage certificate. I don't want a marriage certificate. Their marriage certificates are evil. They are. And I was actually forced to a marriage, by the way. Like, I have a slave certificate. Bogusly deemed as a marriage certificate. There is no marriage certificate. Now, I'm not against basically that. Do a censories, you're considered marriage. Like, the thing is, you choose to be together, you're married. Willingly, give yourself to each other willingly. You don't need nobody else's approval. That doesn't make you married. You're not married unless you get like somebody else's approval who's not even of your family or anything. That's not Christian. I'm sorry.
Then I was going to go after it, because salvation is individual. Salvation is a personal choice. And so he wasn't going to try to manipulate me or anything like that. So we ended up going to the service, and, your mom run to the altar. She's always so open to the Lord. And I kind of went hesitantly. I wasn't real sure. But
they're worshiping a false Lord. They're worshiping the sins of these churches is what they're doing. So I'm going to go on.
Guy led me to the Lord, and from there, we ended up from 7 years.
This guy never led him to the Lord. They led him to false traditions of man that is destroying humanity. They have a false idea of salvation, first of all. You just heard it. So they're convincing them that they're saved. Now, this is the thing. A lot of these churches use simulation of things like baptism, marriages, and things like that to psychologically tie them to their cult. Okay? So, and they use a simulation. People are like, oh, well, I was married there. Oh, well, I was baptized there. I was saved there. And the thing is that they're not saved. They're not saved. So they actually, and that's saved. They pervert actually what being saved is. They didn't get saved. Salvation is the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding of God that puts things in order and sanctifies by true wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Okay, that stops from the unjust oppression. They are caught. Their false doctrines caused much harm to many people and destroyed many families and lives and children.
We ended up getting married in 3 months because we went home one night after the appointment with Pastor Ralph. And I was very upset because he was telling me, listen, if you don't get married, you don't want to get married now, then that's your choice. But you can't be in the same bed together, and you've got to separate. I'm like, what in the world are you talking about? I'm a young man. I pay my bills. How are you going to tell me, But let me tell you something. He was absolutely right, 100%.
He was not right.
I know that now. And I didn't want to hear it. And because nobody,
those false doctrines are evil.
They're entitled and self-absorbed, and I was, right? And the interesting thing now, years later, as a pastor and doing marriage counseling, I've said that to many couples now. But exactly. So that night when we got home, I remember her running into the bedroom, and I'm thinking, what is going on? Just things are crazy because this man, and she went into the bedroom and literally came out with a pillow and a blanket, threw herself on the sofa. And this is what she said to me. And your mom is very, very laid back and very quiet. But she said this to me. She said, Tony, I'm going to sleep on the sofa. You're going to sleep in the bedroom until you make up your mind. And she goes, and if you don't want to get married, you have to leave. We will not be in sin anymore. And that was a gut punch. And so from there, we started attending. We did get married, and then we were attending for a while, Chestnut Assembly of God. But really, my heart wasn't in it. I just really wasn't in it, and I was going through the motions. It wasn't a real. And I would even go as far as saying I don't know that I really was saved and really gave my heart to the Lord, because I think I just went through the motions, but it wasn't.
Because they're still keeping him in confusion, but he questioned the right things. So, and he just conforms. But this is the problem. The problem is they cannot sit in this church all these years and having all these people scam artists and things like that, unless they are very, very just that dumb. And the thing is, I don't think he's really that dumb. Okay. Now, the thing is, if he's teaching the things he teaches other people, he's brainwashing his wife and convincing his wife lies. He's lying to his wife. There are some things, you sit there and echo things. But then there's some things, and that they will be manipulative, false doctrines and things like that, and you're undiscerning and can't see. But then you get to the point when you encounter those doctrines where you basically have to willfully manipulate somebody and lie to people. And you can't, I'm not going to be convinced that you're just like spiritually blind and you're that much of an idiot that you don't know all these false scammers coming in and Ralph Shook and all the stuff that he says, because you can question like basic common sense, like basic things. Okay. And make rightful comparisons and like, you know, they will have you like they will sit there and they will pervert the Bible where it says like don't doubt the things of the Lord, but they tie that to them. We don't doubt them. Don't doubt them, and they will have all these false evil doctrines to impair the discernment and don't judge, don't no criticizing and all these other things or whatever. When you speak the knowledge of God to them, they will sit there and use this is what they did to me. When I'm sitting there questioning things or whatever, I mean, their false pastor Ralph Snook got in my face aggressively, like this far away from me, in my face aggressively and like almost a growling motions. I have said this before. Okay? And Jesus doesn't need anybody to defend him, very angrily, and walked away from me. So they lied and manipulated. They actually sort of admitted it and said, oh, they were pushing you. Pushing me? You're a girl, you're a fat ass man. Got aggressively in my face for being kind to you, and he responded evil in a very evil way for me sharing what basically Jesus actually taught against his false doctrines. Okay, so he is a degenerate, by the way. He's degenerate, and it seems like this guy found an opportunity because of money. And my whole thing is, I'm not going to justify him or whatever, but my whole thing is, it's like, you know what? Ralph Snook sat there deceiving people out of money or whatever. You sit there deceive them out of money or what have you. So basically, well, you taught him how to do that. He knows they're scamming and hustling people and lying to people and buying and hustling people out of money. So he became a part of that. So I don't know if his wife is part of basically the hustle or whatever, or she's just kept dumb and ignorant. And that's the thing where they need to heal in their marriage or whatever. They need to start healing now, because the thing is, she can't question. How are you going to say? I mean, is she really, really that naive and kept ignorant and undiscerning? And who did that? Who was a part of doing that? So yes, the false pastor was playing the dictator, abusive husband, by the way. And apparently I've seen this and talked about this a number of times, where it's just like, there's a thing there, people are pastoring the people. Then there's these false pastors who are actually trying to be, okay, the second husband or the first husband, and you're the second husband. Okay? That's the reality. I have seen this. It's disturbing. So I'm going to end with that, but yeah, there's more I want to court on a marriage, because there's false teachings that he's conditioned by, and he's echoing just like traditional false things, the Americanized false marriage nonsense, and how you're supposed to do things, and I'm going to tell you why those ways basically cause destruction to humanity and marriages, actually.